Record. Thank you, Annie. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Christian Steinmetz, and I am the program coordinator for the higher education program and associate professor. I'm also a graduate of the PhD program here at UVA. Annie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Annie Rappaport, and I'm an alum from the master's program. Christian was actually my advisor, an awesome one. And I'm currently an academic program officer and instructor for the department.
All right. And we are both so happy to be here to chat with you about our program. If you have questions, please feel free to looking at my other screen because I have the chat up in the other screen. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll go through the presentation first, and then there will be time at the end if you want to ask questions, and then we can also address any questions that you put in the chat as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to just give a little bit of the program overview, talk about the curriculum, internships, financing your master's degree, outcomes, and then admissions. So a little bit about the program. So higher ed, why higher ed at UVA? So one of the things that we love about our program is that it combines academic coursework and professional experience. So not only do you get a chance to be in the classroom with the people who really care about what you care about, and are excited to learn about higher education, student affairs, intercollegiate athletics. You also will have the opportunity to work with people across the university or at the local community college, and learn from them as well. We have internships for full-time students. So any full-time student that would like an internship, and we strongly encourage all full-time students to have an internship. That is a possibility, and we'll talk about how that process works in a few minutes. All of our students in the program work with one of two academic advisors, either me or Alan Leffers, another faculty member in the program. And we meet with our advisees at least 3 times a year, talking about coursework, also talking about plans for the future, giving career guidance, and anything and everything that students have questions about. And then lastly, our program is a 1-year cohort-based program. So although we do have a number of part-time students who come into the program, the majority of our students are full-time. They start in June and graduate the following May. And they go through the program together. So they take the core courses together and then split off into their interest courses. And then, as I said, we also have a number of part-time students as well who typically take between 2 to 3 years in the program. So let's talk a little bit about the cohort experience. I'm going to turn it over to Annie, who can speak from personal experience to this.
Yes, thank you so much, Christian. I'm going to take a tiny pause to address a question in the chat. I kind of know the answer, but I wanted to ask what the student should do. We have a student who joined tonight who's interested in the PhD program. Should she stay on for overlap info, or should she, what do you recommend?
I would say probably it would be best to contact me separately, and you can just send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat, and we could schedule a time to, sorry, I'm typing. We can schedule a time to have a separate Zoom meeting to talk about that. I will say, Elise, that Our program isn't accepting applications for the PhD for the coming year, but we will be accepting applications for the PhD for the 26-27 academic year. But shoot me an email and I'm happy to chat about it one-on-one.
Thank you, Christian. And good luck, Elise. And with that, yes, the cohort experience. So this is one of, I would argue, the most important and value-added pieces of the program offered at University of Virginia. And that is that you get to know your full-time cohort, you're going through the coursework together, you're going through the internship process together, and therefore you get to share all these experiences with each other, which is wonderful. And on top of that, you also have each of the full-time cohorts also has part-time cohort members. So you get to also have like a cross-generational experience that's shared all the time with people who are full-time professionals doing it part-time, as well as people who are doing the program full-time and part-time internships. So it's really cool. You get a wide diversity and you really get to know people at a deep level. And those connections serve you. They continue to serve me. I graduated about a decade ago from the program. We stay in touch. We help each other find jobs. We're there for other milestones in life that don't have to do with our careers. And it's really just a beautiful piece of the program that you don't necessarily get everywhere. And another piece that I would mention is optional but highly encouraged is you can widen that network by opting into the mentorship program, and we carefully match you with somebody who is a alum in an interest that matches your own. So if you're interested in athletics, we're going to find somebody in athletics. If you're interested in admissions, we'll find someone in admissions. If you're interested in development and fundraising, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of high touch throughout the program, including with the alumni mentorship. And then there's a lot of fun things to do in Charlottesville. And a lot of times the cohort members, because we are friends as well as colleagues and students together, we often would go, at least in my cohort, we would go out for happy hours, or we go out to a winery, or we go hiking together. And then from a more professional standpoint, if there's a professional association meeting somewhere in the vicinity, you can save costs by driving together, going together, and staying and rooming together, these sorts of things too, which is really kind of a nice benefit. And then for those of you who are newer to the area, we're pretty close to both the capital of Virginia, Richmond, which has a lot of different things to go see and do, as well as the nation's capital of DC.
Great, thanks, Annie. Okay. So a little bit about how our program is structured. So we start with the theoretical foundations, and this is really a key part because we want to think about what is the basis for higher education. It is an applied field, so a lot of the theory that we use and ideas that we use within higher education come from other fields, so sociology, psychology, leadership, and organizational theory, among others. But those are then applied to specific higher education theories. So thinking about how students are retained in college and how they persist to graduation, or specifically how students develop in college, how colleges and universities are organized. So those are some of the big theoretical components that we cover. Then along with that, we have the principles of practice. So even though our courses do have that theory, there are important concepts that we want to think about in terms of, okay, well, how do we apply this theory to practice, and how do we do the work of higher education administrators, student affairs administrators, athletic administrators every day? And so that sort of coursework really is applied, and we do case studies, we do tabletop exercises, so a lot of hands-on activities that happen within the classroom as well. And then the third piece is that reflective professional experience. So again, those professional internships that lead to successful work, and they're typically in a more specialized function within higher education. The great thing about the internships is you're doing the internship at the same time that you're in the classroom, so you can think about how things that we're learning in the classroom apply to your internship, and how things that you're doing in your internship, you can bring that back to the classroom and say, we talked about this, but this isn't really how it's working, which is often the case with theories. So it's a really nice back and forth. I will say too that the faculty members in our program have all worked in administrative positions within higher education. So we all bring, in addition to that theoretical lens, we all bring a very practical lens as well to our coursework. Right. So our program of study is 34 credit hours. 22 of those credit hours are in the core. So the intro, organization and management, college student experience, research, diversity, budget and finance, and higher ed policy. And then there's a 1 credit professional seminar, which you take in the last semester of the program that helps you prepare for the job search. Then we have 3 specific focus areas: student affairs, intercollegiate athletic administration, and then more general higher education administration focus. And those are 12 credits each. So typically, I'll show you. So typically, most students will take those. We start out with 9 credits in the summer. So this is a pretty intense program. So 9 credits in the summer over 9 weeks. And then in the fall, you would take 12 credits. And if you were doing the student affairs focus, so you'll have 3 core classes and then 1 in student affairs. And then in the spring, you would take, I made a mistake there. It should be 13 credits. So in the spring, then you would take the 2 remaining elective credits, and then the 3 courses within student affairs as well. The 2 courses within student affairs, and then the professional development course. So you can see it is really tight, but you fit it in within a year, which is great. Plus you have work experience coming out the other side. All right. So Annie, do you want to talk about internships?
Sure thing. So the internships, building off of what Christian was describing, really help everything make more sense, because you learn the theories, you learn the methodologies, and you learn so much in class, but then you bring it to real world and it all either comes to life, or you see those discrepancies and then you can problem solve, and all these really cool things happen because of how it's so thoughtfully approached by the faculty and how the program sequencing goes. The internship program is for full-time students, because the part-time students are usually working professionally full-time. We help with the matching process. So you're not just arbitrarily put into any one internship. It's actually a whole process where we work with you at a couple of different stages to get your preferences. First, at the get-go, when you get to see all the different postings, and then again after your interviews with the folks that you interview with, you get to say your preferences yet again. And we do our best to match you to your top preferences as we are able. So that way you kind of have a better sense. And also I really like the timing. So it's timed in such a way that it's timed in such a way that you're going to know your placement or your match before you need to confirm coming to the program. So you can make the most informed decision that you need to before you commit to UVA. And the internships are available all over the school. And if there's something you're interested in that you don't see on a posting, you can be proactive and work with us, and we can approach another department. But I feel like there were like 25 different places this last time that we worked with. So there's really a lot to pick from, and it's across both the university itself and our neighboring community college. So it's really cool stuff you can do.
Yep. Okay. So financing your master's, most of our students applied for federal student aid with the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, which, fingers crossed, the new rollout should be better this year. One thing that we do encourage students to do is, when you apply, to be sure to request consideration for federal work study. Some of our offices do require students to have federal work study to be an intern in their office. And for the most part, I think 99% of our students are eligible for work study. So it's just a little added help there. There is some limited department funding available for master's students. It's generally around $2,000 a year. And there's no application for that, but we like students to let us know if that's something that they're interested in. And usually it's through conversations or an email, and we mark that for consideration as well. So certainly let us know if department funding it would be helpful for you. Okay, and a couple other slides. So our students get jobs all over in a wide variety of positions. So, and you can see here everything from specific jobs within the university, tutoring coordinators in athletic compliance, let's see, student success advisors, career advisors, community relations with the New York Jets. That's outside of higher ed. So we do have a number of students that decide to work in other industries outside higher ed, but take what they've learned within the program. A lot of those students actually do the athletics side, but we do have a number of students from the student affairs side or the higher ed admin side who go to work for education organizations, supporting higher education in different ways. So fraternity and sorority life organizations, not uncommon. We also have a number of students, a fair number of students who have gone to work for secondary schools as counselors. So there are a lot of options besides working directly for a college or university. And we're here to help students plan and find whatever they are interested in there. Okay, and finally, how to apply. So the application is relatively easy. There's an online application form, and I can put the link to the admissions page in the chat. So you complete the application form, submit an unofficial transcript, and a personal statement. And in your personal statement, we're really looking for why are you interested in this particular degree? Why UVA? What in your background would be helpful for us to know as we're making an admissions decision? So what did you love about your undergraduate experience that led you to this potential career? 2 letters of recommendation, and we like at least one of those to be an academic reference if possible. Your resume, there is an application fee. There are some waivers available, and that information is on the website. Sometimes we request a writing sample, and that is dependent on the student application. We do not require the GRE. If you have taken the GRE and you want to submit your scores, that's fine, but we don't require that. So deadlines for full-time students, summer is the option to apply. So that deadline, the priority deadline is February 1st. When you apply by that date, it really ensures that we can get you started for the internship interview process, but we do accept applications up until May 1st on a space available basis. For part-time students, they can apply for any semester, summer, fall, or spring semester. Current UVA students with a 3.3 or above can apply with the direct admits, and that just requires the goal statement and the application fee, and the deadline for that is April 1st. So that's if any of you are current UVA students, that's a streamlined application process for you. So that concludes the formal part, but we are happy to answer any questions, that you might have. And I'm also going to pop that admissions link in the chat so you know where to look for that. And what questions do you have for us? You can either unmute and ask, or you can type it in the chat, either way.
Hi, my name is Kara. I'm from Statesboro, South Georgia, and I was just kind of wondering. Living in the South, I'm really interested in getting graduate experience that's really different from the current university that I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how would y'all say that y'all's program or y'all's university is different from like Southern schools and kind of schools that we see like more in the like deep South?
Ooh, what a great question. Annie, I don't, I would say that UVA is sort of a unique blend of Southern and Northern. I mean, I think that it sort of has a little bit of traditional Southern feel, but it's not, but I wouldn't say it's a Southern school. And I'll be honest, I'm having a little hard time because number one, I came to UVA from Oregon, so I don't have any experience with Southern universities or universities farther south. And so when I came to UVA, I thought that this was a Southern university. It felt more Southern to me. Since then, I've realized that no, not at all, because we've had students from Auburn and Georgia and Louisiana,
Yeah.
Alabama,
Mhm.
who are like, oh, UVA seems very northern to them. So I would say it's maybe, um, yeah, it's hard to describe. UVA is a very unique institution just because of its structure. So I would, it's not your typical student affairs structure for sure. And the way the student self-governance works at UVA is particularly different than almost every other institution in the US. And, the history of the institution plays a big role. So I feel like coming to UVA, you drink a little bit of the Kool-Aid, in that you just become immersed in UVA culture, even in the short time that you were here, you would be here. But yeah, Kara, I'm sorry, that probably doesn't completely answer your question. I don't know, Annie, do you have anything you want to add?
It's a great question. Similar to Christian, I came from another part of the country, but not the South. I come from the Southwest. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. So for me, Virginia felt very northern because I'm from very, very, very southern border of our country, but a different kind of South than I think what you're referring to. What I would recommend, if you're interested, is Christian and I keep in touch really well with a lot of our alums who are originally from, but currently working in Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama. I don't know if we have anyone in Mississippi, but those other three we do. So if you'd like to talk to some of them about what it was like, they would know better than us.
That would be really great to be able to get into contact with people like, but I also, I did want to ask if there's an opportunity for me to talk maybe one-on-one with a counselor. I know there's other people in the Zoom and I don't want to take away from their time or y'all's time as well. But I'm a very, like, I always tend to have a lot of questions and they're a little bit more personalized. So I don't want to like waste anyone's time here. But I wonder if there was like opportunities to talk more one-on-one with somebody.
Of course. Yeah. You can email Annie or I or both of us. And we would be happy to set up a separate time to chat and have a longer conversation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just put my email in the chat.
Other questions? Oh,
Didn't Adam Side also go to Georgia?
Adam's side did go to
Yeah,
the
we
University
have
of
Matt Ulmer who's still down. Yeah, we have some
yeah, we have a fair number.
the
Yeah.
boat right. Yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
Hi, I had a comment first and then a question.
Sure.
And so I am so excited about this program. I'll say I'm from Charlottesville. I did my undergrad at UVA and I work at UVA now. And
Oh, great.
so staying close, but I wish I would have heard about this sooner. And so very happy to be on this call tonight. But I was interested in hearing more if y'all could speak to maybe what the part-time uh experience might look like as far as day to day, because I'll say that's one thing I'm interested in pursuing part-time because I do work full-time.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So typically our part-time students take generally 2 classes a semester. Most of our classes, I mean, and this is good for people thinking about full-time too. Most of our classes meet one day a week, either 3:30 to 6 or 6:30 to 9. We do have a few classes that meet twice a week, but not very many. Most tend to be that one day a week because that accommodates our part-time students, but it also helps accommodate full-time students who are in internships to give students that time to do their internships as well. The 2 times a week classes are 75 minutes, Tuesday, Thursday. And we do try to schedule those during the lunch hour. The 3:30 classes, those are 2.5 hour classes. So if you take 2 classes a semester, it would typically take you, I think, 2.5 years to complete the program. And we do have every year, I think this year we have 15 part-time students. Most of them are full-time employees at the university. So you would not be alone in that experience because we do have a fair number. And I think I don't see a difference in the classroom. I mean, sometimes students are a little older, but we have a range of ages of full-time students as well. But it's just a really welcoming experience being part-time in our classroom as well. Yeah.
Thank you. That answers a lot of my questions about that.
Great. Yeah. And again, happy to, if you want to schedule a meeting with either Annie or I, happy to meet one-on-one. So. Other questions?
I'm curious, how did you find us all the way in Maine? I know if you can speak though. If you can't unmute, it's okay. I also didn't want to mess up pronouncing your name. Atsumi? Oh,
Hi, this is Satsumi.
mhm.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a like graduate school for higher education administration thing. Then I searched for it and there is like 10 lists of like studying about this area.
Yeah,
Then yeah, I found it. Then I just popped in.
nice.
I have a question. Is it like you mentioned about the federal working
Yes.
Oh, the
thing?
federal work study.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, federal work studying. Is it
Mhm.
apply to international students?
It does not apply to international students.
Mhm.
However, we do have offices that don't require work study.
Uh-huh.
And we've had international students in the program that have been able to have internships as well. As you probably know, there's some other restrictions around
Mhm.
international students working, but
Yeah.
we're well familiar with that process and we're able to work with international students.
Okay, so might be a bit like limited option, but still can find a internship in Virginia. Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, does anyone have questions about specific offices they're in or types of internships they're interested in or?
I actually, in regards to like a specific office, my minor, I'm an English major right now with a minor in human development and family sciences. And my like overall goal, Georgia Southern, the school that I go to now, has a child development center on campus, like kind of like a daycare. And I know like several other universities also have that. I think one of the big things that I really want to go into is maybe working for a department very similar to that. Working with like the children of like the students and the faculty, and being on a more administrative end of that kind of sorts.
Okay, okay. Interesting. We haven't had a student in that area before, but that's something that we could really think about. And because we also have connected to the university as well as the medical center, that could potentially be a possibility. So I'll have to put my thinking hat on for that one. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to write that down.
And to follow up on what Christian's saying, I'm a very happy example of someone where what I was looking for wasn't on the list, even though there was a ton of stuff on the list. And so I worked with Christian and some others, and I was able to find my internship in the study abroad area, which was my area of interest. So it's very doable to carve your own path.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, we're about 7:30, which is dinner time, or maybe people already ate dinner. But please write down our emails, and either one of us are very happy to get back to you. Again, we can schedule one-on-one time to chat, or if you just wanted to email us questions, we can do that as well. Our time is pretty flexible. I might be a little more flexible than Annie these days, but we're both happy to check in with you if you have any questions at all about anything about UVA or the program or Charlottesville as well. And really appreciate that you spent some time with us this evening, and we hope to see your application in a couple months.
Definitely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
Did it.
Yeah, that went well. Good
Yeah,
questions.
we have a new recording.
Yeah. Oh, did we stop recording?
We haven't. I don't think I can. Can I? Maybe I can. When I did it with Alan, I wasn't allowed. Only he was allowed, which was strange. I wasn't used to that. Yeah, it's not letting me.
I don't even.
Do you have a? Because I also had to ask you permission to record. You see a pause button? Stop button.